You quote-unquote defend yourself with a gun only indirectly by threatening to kill someone or actually wounding or killing them. That's called deterrence, you moron. I'm sorry. Lord, forgive me. I'm sorry. Good grief. How do you get degrees, be professors, and be this dense?
Bringing you law, gospel, and guns. Welcome to Armed Lutheran Radio.
Welcome to Armed Lutheran Radio, a member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. I'm your host, Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran, and this is episode 57, brought to you by Cook's Holsters, American-made custom Kydex holsters with a lifetime warranty and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. CooksHolsters.com. Welcome to the show. Hope you had a great week. I, as you can probably tell, am recording from what Bob Mayne would call the mobile studio. I am on my way back from Pryor Creek, Oklahoma, where I just completed Mike Seeklander's competition handgun 111 class. I decided because it's so close that I would just make it a full day trip. Got up at 3:15 this morning, got ready, got the car loaded up, headed out about 4:15, and got to the range at about 8:30. Class started a little past 9, finished up about 5:15, and I am now on my way back, another 4-hour drive back to North Texas. I want to thank, first of all, Mike Seeklander for putting on this class. I was excited when Mike announced that he was going to have these one-day classes in the Tulsa area. Most of his classes have been, in the past, have been multi-day classes, and they've been in places where I just simply could not get to them. They were too far away, and I couldn't take his classes. And when he announced that he was doing one-day classes in Pryor Creek, I jumped on it immediately. I was excited that he started doing this. Basically, what he's done is he's taken his 5-day competition handgun series and broken it down into one-day classes. I'd never gotten a chance to meet Mike before. I'd seen him at a number of IDPA matches in the past, but Mike is a busy man. He is a professional instructor. He's a professional shooter, sponsored by Wilson Combat. And so he usually is very busy. He doesn't stick around after the match to socialize. He gets there, shoots the match, and moves on because he's got other things going on. And so I never really got a chance to meet him before. Mike is a great guy, very personable, a fun instructor. He throws a lot of stuff at you. You hit the ground running, but there's really nothing revolutionary about what he teaches. It's based on his competition handgun training series, his books, and his videos. So if you have those, or if you've watched the videos or read the books, then you know the curriculum basically. But what he adds to it, and what the real great benefit to me, as opposed to just getting the books and doing it all yourself, is having Mike's experience right there to be able to pick his brain, having him able to critique what you're doing and offer advice and assistance, and being able to just offer you little tidbits of wisdom and from his years of experience as a professional shooter, as a trainer. It was a great class. Hopefully, and I talked to him about this after the class, hopefully we'll be able to get him on the podcast in the near future. All right, so what have we got on the show for you today? Like I said, I am on the way back from this class, and so everything is sort of being thrown together at the last minute. I do have most of the production work done. I'm waiting for some final pieces like this recording and one from Aaron Israel that he's sending me today. I don't know what Aaron's tip is about. I just know there's going to be a tip from Aaron Israel in today's show. So Aaron has a tip for us. Mia Anstine has a tip for you today, another segment about gear that she found at SHOT Show. This one about carry bags, specifically some that she found from Galco gun leather. Sergeant Bill has another ballistic minute. You know, IDPA has a lot of classes and divisions now. It's very confusing for a new shooter. Well, guess what? Sergeant Bill is going to clarify all that for you in today's Ballistic Minute. And Pastor Bennett is not going to be able to be with us in this week's Clinging to God and Guns. Hopefully, Lord willing, he will be with us next week. But we were going to fisk an article from the Presbyterian Church USA, and I'll be sharing that with you in Clinging to God and Guns today. So all that is coming your way straight ahead right here on Armed Lutheran Radio.
So how many of you have been in this situation? You hear about a gun or you read about it, you decide you want to check it out. You go and you try it out at a gun show or at your local gun store and you decide to buy. Maybe it feels really good in your hand, the price is right, the size is perfect, but then you take it to the range and the trigger is awful. Now you've got that gun that you've invested your time and your money in, but you don't like to shoot it. So you either trade it, maybe you try to sell it and hope that you can make some of your money back, or you grin and bear it. Well, what if I told you that you can get the performance that you wanted out of the gun that you already have? Galloway Precision makes trigger conversion kits for a wide range of guns to produce smoother, lighter, better functioning triggers. Galloway Precision is your carry pistol specialist. Check out their complete collection of performance parts at GallowayPrecision.com and use the promo code Lutheran2017 to save 10% off your order. Make the gun that you choose to carry better with precision parts from GallowayPrecision.com.
Time now for another Ballistic Minute with Sergeant Bill Silvia.
Hey everybody, I'm Sergeant Bill and this is your Ballistic Minute. Today we're going to talk about picking a gun, class, and gear to play in IDPA. Okay, so if you're new to competition shooting, you've never shot IDPA or any other competition shooting games before, what I'm going to suggest is if you have a concealed carry permit, use your carry gear and your carry gun. If you don't have a carry permit and you have a home defense gun, get a holster and a couple mag pouches for that and bring that out and shoot that. Both of those guns, you're going to use them, shoot them, you're going to find out how they work, how well you work with them, and what you can do with them, and really get proficient. Or maybe you just want to get a new gun, get some new gear, and just play at competition, just have fun. So what you need to do is you need to pick a class, pick a gun. In IDPA, we have SSP, which is your stock service pistol, which is your basic stock duty-sized gun. There's ESP, enhanced service pistol, which is that same duty-sized gun, but it's tricked out within the rules. You can have mag wells and, different stuff on it, different triggers and all that kind of stuff, all visible on the outside. There's CDP, which is your custom defensive pistol, and that's basically your ESP gun that's tricked out for 45 ACP caliber only. Then there's CCP, which is your concealed carry pistol, and that's generally your carry gun, your Glock 19 size gun. Check the rules for the size to see if you'll fit in there. And last but not least, there's your revolver. There's a couple classes of revolver, but basically wheel gun's a wheel gun. And if you're not totally confused, IDPA stands for the International Defensive Pistol Association. So what we're talking about here is just handguns only. All right, well, when you go to a match, most of the gamers, the people that have been there for a while that are just shooting for fun, they're going to shoot the ESP or CDP class. mostly because the tricked out guns are fast and they're a lot of fun. You'll also need a cover garment. You can use the t-shirt or sweatshirt or a hoodie or a jacket, depending on the weather. You can even pick up like a photographer's vest. That's something a lot of people use, and they're relatively inexpensive, but really just use however you carry, whatever you're wearing. That'll work. As long as it covers the gun, you're good. Now that you've picked out your gun and the class you want to shoot, it's time to go to idpa.com and find a local match. And once you do that, go out, sign up, bring yourself a couple hundred rounds of ammo, a couple mag pouches to carry your extra magazines. You'll need at least 3 of them, 1 in the gun and 2 on your belt, and go have fun. It's as easy as that. There's lots of people that are going to be there that will be more than happy to help you and show you the ropes and tell you what to do and what not to do. They'll probably have a new shooter's brief, so you won't have to worry about safety. You'll understand that safety is paramount, and you won't have to worry about that. Just do it. Go have fun. You'll enjoy it. If you like shooting at a square range, you'll be hooked on IDPA after shooting a match. When I shot my first match, I loved it so much, I couldn't believe it, and I couldn't tell you what happened in that first match. I just know I had a ball. So go have fun. I've talked to many people that haven't shot a match before because they don't think they're ready for it yet. As long as you can safely draw a gun from a holster and load and unload a gun, then you're ready. Everything else you'll learn as you go. That's basically the skills. If you can shoot it, draw it from a holster, shoot it, load it and unload it at the direction of a safety officer, you're good to go. Go have fun. Try it out. You'll like it. I'm Sergeant Bill. This has been your Ballistic Minute.
Sergeant Bill Silvia is a 15-year veteran of the Dallas Police Department and master-class competitive shooter. You can watch Sergeant Bill's shooting videos at armedlutheran.us/Sergeant Bill.
AK pattern rifles are known for their rugged reliability in all types of conditions. The best AK pattern rifles come from the desert of Arizona. Lee Armory builds AK pattern rifles using premium imported parts. Lee Armory's enhanced receivers are properly heat treated with CNC drilled trunnion and scope mount holes, Tapco triggers, polished bolt carrier and hammer, receiver rails modeled after the Saiga design to prevent bolt carrier jump, and barrels made from 4150 vanadium steel nitrided to 1200 degrees to make them harder, more durable, and more accurate. Plus, they offer a limited lifetime warranty. The AK pattern rifle is legendary for its reliability. Lee Armory takes the AK and adds a whole new level of quality and customer service. Available at Copper Custom, Classic Firearms, Ames Surplus, and Elite Ordnance, or visit leearmory.us to see the entire line of Lee premium AK rifles, optics, and accessories. Lee Armory premium AK pattern rifles, born under the Red Star, perfected in Arizona. leearmory.us.
If you carry a multi-tool or pistol magazine every day, check out RAE Gear high-quality tactical sheaths. Designed with the needs of law enforcement, military, first responders, and concealed carriers in mind, RAE Gear sheaths are made from powder-coated stainless steel, making them strong, corrosion-resistant, and lightweight. They feature a spring steel belt clip for easy deployment and removal. Your tool or magazine can be easily accessed with just one finger, and yet the integrated retention keeps your tool or magazine secure even when turned upside down. RAE Gear's tool sheaths are designed to work with a variety of Leatherman brand multi-tools, and their new line of quick deployment mag sheaths offer the same tough construction and corrosion resistance for carrying most double-stacked 9mm, 40 caliber, and 357 SIG magazines. Check out the full line of products at www.raegearusa.com and be sure to use the promo code ALR at checkout and save 10% off your order. Recognize, assess, execute. raegearusa.com.
It's time for this week's self-defense tip from Aaron Israel of Fundamental Defense.
Hey folks, this is Aaron Israel with Fundamental Defense, here with your personal defense tip of the week. This week I want to talk to you about a lesson I learned last week when I ran into a deer. I was in between Lubbock and Dallas-Fort Worth on I-82 heading east out in the middle of nowhere, and I ran into a deer. It jumped out in front of me. It was about a 200-pound buck, and lucky for me, I had a ranch hand grill guard on the front of my truck, and it caused the deer just to kind of bounce off, and it didn't damage physically as far as being able to run the front end of my truck. It was all cosmetic, and I was able to get the truck limped back into town and get it back home. So what I learned as a result of this, though, is that even though I have guns and personal defense options there in my truck, I'm sitting there with my holstered gun. That's not going to help me any when I get into that kind of an emergency situation. I didn't have any tie-down straps in the back of my truck. I didn't have a toolbox in the back of my truck. I didn't have any of the things that I really needed at the moment to get myself out of that situation. And part of personal defense is being prepared for the things that are likely to happen to you in day-to-day life. And one of those things when you're traveling on back roads could be running into a deer, it could be blowing a tire, it could be your car just breaking down. And if you don't have things like a toolbox and ratchet straps and tie-downs, then you can find yourself in a world of hurt. Lucky for me, I was able to improvise a tie-down by using my laptop bag and the strap off of it to tie my hood down and limp the truck back into town until I could actually go buy some ratchet straps, which, hey, when you buy ratchet straps at the gas station, you end up paying $40 for a couple ratchet straps, just in case you were wondering. But I didn't have what I needed to get myself out of that situation, and I had to improvise. Now, you always got to be prepared to improvise, because even when you have as much stuff as you should, if I would have had ratchet straps and I would have had a toolbox and all those things and would have been able to take my hood off like I really needed to at that point, it could have been something else. I may not have had the things I needed, and I still may have had to improvise something. So having that adapt and overcome mentality and being able to figure it out is helpful too. But if you have the right tools in your toolbox, so to speak, that's a thing we hear said a lot in the gun industry, and there I am without any literal tools in my toolbox. And I've got a big ranch hand toolbox in the back of my truck that had nothing but ammo and stuff like that I carried to the range with me, and it didn't have all the things that I need to fix my truck at that moment. So you can be really prepared for things that are not likely to happen to you, but then if you don't have the basic stuff that you need for what is likely to happen to you on a day-to-day basis when you're out on the road, you're really making a mistake. So I'm going to make a recommendation to you that you get a car repair kit or a car bug-out kit that doesn't have anything to do with personal defense and just has something to do with getting yourself out of a jam when you're out on the road. Things I would include in that bag. Some of these modern cars that you buy nowadays come with them anyway from the dealership, but you might want to see what's in there. I would at least have some road flares, some ratchet straps, some tie downs, some rope, also some basic tools such as screwdrivers, all of the different sizes, some pliers, some vice grips, and things like that you might need. If I would have had some pliers and a wrench or two, or maybe even just a screwdriver, I probably could have figured out how to get my hood off and not had to tie it down. I could have taken it off and thrown it in the flatbed, and it would have been a lot easier for me to get home had I not had to tie that thing down in a really ghetto fashion. So have that toolbox there. Have those things that you might need if you get into a roadside situation, because out where I was on I-82 East, there wasn't any AAA. Even if I would have been a member, they would have never got to me in time. It was 2.5 hours away from anybody that was even close that could get to me and help me out. So I was on my own. So you got to plan for being on your own when you're out on the road as much as I am, and I really failed not having all of those roadside assistance things in a tool bag that I needed. So get yourself a tool bag and be prepared for one of those likely things that could happen to you, which is maybe hitting a deer or maybe your transmission going out, or one of those things that can happen to you on the side of the road. Be your own AAA, and that's your personal defense tip for the week. Thanks for tuning in.
Aaron Israel is a Personal Defense Network contributor and owner of Fundamental Defense. You can find out more and sign up for any of Aaron's classes at fundamentaldefense.com.
As many of you know, Sergeant Bill and I are competitive shooters. We're also reloaders. Bill helped me to get started last year, but I've still got a lot to learn. One thing I do know, though, you need a good source for supplies and components. So let me tell you about U.S. Reloading Supply. Yeah, there are bigger suppliers out there, but what sets U.S. Reloading Supply apart from the rest is their dedication to customer satisfaction. Check them out at usreloadingsupply.com. They carry the top name brands like Starline, Rainier, Barry's, Remington, Spear, and Hornady. If you've got a special order like primers and powder that you don't see on their website, give them a call for a quote. I did and got a great price. Excellent customer service, fast delivery, prices that include shipping, and a promise to match or beat any retailer's price, including shipping. Call them today, 941-451-7357, or visit them today at usreloadingsupply.com and use the promo code Lutheran2017 to save 10% off your order. usreloadingsupply.com.
The percentage of women who own guns is growing. American women are more knowledgeable and better equipped to defend themselves than ever before. So, why is it that every time I go to a gun shop, I feel like they're talking down to me? Like, hey little lady, let me show you what you need. It's like all they want to do is sell me a pink gun. If you're tired of feeling that too, visit Guns for Gals, a specialty firearms boutique designed to empower women with information about firearm safety and to equip them with the means to protect themselves. The owners go out of their way to find products specifically for women, and they actually listen and ask questions to help you find the right products to meet your needs. If they wouldn't own it themselves, they won't sell it. Guns for Gals is located at 2035 Central Circle, Suite 108 in McKinney, Texas. Open Monday 1 to 6 and Tuesday through Thursday 11 to 7. And on weekends, you can find them at a gun show near you. Or shop online at www.gunsforgals.com. Guns for Gals, more than just a gun shop. It's how gun shopping should be.
Up next, it's Mia's Motivations with Mia Anstine.
Hey everybody, hello. Today I wanted to talk to you about some things that I found at SHOT Show again. And one of the things that everyone is always looking for, a big question that everybody asks, is what is the best holster? And that is a matter of preference, body shape, what type of clothing you wear. There's just a lot that goes into what is the best holster. But I know for women, a lot of us, especially in summer months, you wear more fitting clothing, you wear less jackets and layers, so it's more difficult to conceal your firearm. And there are options, which I will discuss in other episodes, but today I wanted to talk to you about a holster that I found at Galco Gun Leather. And it actually is for your handbag. And bringing that topic up, I wanted to talk to you about handbags because my personal preference is to carry my firearm on my person. And I do that not because I'm a control freak, because in general I'm not, but with my firearm, I am. I want to know where it is at all times. I want to be in control of it. So I generally carry on my body, but there are times when you maybe need to or you want to carry in a handbag. The thing about handbags is not all handbags are designed to carry a firearm. You don't want to have your handgun flopping around with your keys, makeup, and other items in your purse. So you need to either purchase a handbag that's specifically designed for carrying a handgun. So Galco offers this holster. It's called the Carry Safe Gen 2. And Eiling New of Gunside Academy, she's an instructor there, she helped Galco design this holster. It has a very sturdy clip that attaches it and secures it to a handbag that wasn't designed for carrying. So this is a way to convert your favorite handbag to a carry bag. This clip, it adjusts. You can move the location on the leather secure mount so that it can balance in your bag. It can be attached to a pocket on the interior bag or a divider on the interior of the bag. And in addition, as a hunter, I despise Velcro, but this has Velcro on it. It has a Velcro mount for the handgun, and this attaches it to the leather pad, which attaches to your handbag. The good thing about these Velcro mounts, as I said, one for the handgun, there's also one for an accessory. So you can put an extra mag in there if you would like, or you can put mace or whatever you need to carry in this other pouch that attaches to the handbag. I will share images of this on my website, miaanstine.com, but I'll also send some images to Lloyd so that you can see it on the Facebook page and other areas. But this Velcro is good because you can pull it off and then you can angle the handgun or the accessories appropriately to your handbag so that if you carry on your left shoulder, you'll be able to reach in quickly, withdraw the handgun without sweeping yourself, without sweeping your arm. You need to have it angled properly so that you can effectively and quickly remove the handgun from your handbag. On that note, I will be sharing a video later this spring of how to draw from a handbag, because you need to remember, never sweep yourself when you're drawing from a handbag. And also, we may always want to clutch and hold on to our handbags. Well, when you're in an accelerated situation and your life is in danger, you need to draw your firearm and discard that handbag so it's not in your way. You don't need it throwing you off balance. I don't know how heavy your bag is, but my bag is pretty heavy, and you need to get that out of the way, draw your handgun, and get the sights on target if your life is in danger. Keep an eye out for that, and always remember that you need to know where your gun is at all times. Be in charge of that. If you're going to carry in a handbag, make sure that your firearm is secured in there. Don't have it flopping around. If you're looking for concealed carry bags, you can look to Galco Gun Leather. You can look to Gun Totin' Mamas. There are plenty of companies out there that make purses that are designed to carry, or you can get this Carry Safe Gen 2 model from Galco and convert your favorite bag into a carry bag. I hope this tip has been helpful to you. Always be safe out there, be aware of your surroundings, and enjoy your week. Bye, guys.
You can read more from Mia and watch her YouTube videos at miaanstine.com.
If you carry a gun for personal protection, it's imperative that you get a good holster. When I started out, I had no idea what that meant, and I went through a bunch of really bad holsters. Then I found Cook's Holsters at cooksholsters.com. Cook's Holsters are custom made to fit your specific firearm. Available in lots of colors, including custom printed Kydex. Cook's Holsters are made in the USA and the great state of Georgia and come with a lifetime warranty against defects and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Visit www.cooksholsters.com and use the promo code ARMEDPODCAST and get a 15% discount off everything in the store. You put a lot of time and money into the firearm you choose to carry for personal protection. Carry it in the best holster. cooksholsters.com.
Welcome back to Armed Lutheran Radio. Pastor Bennett is not with us this week. Lord willing, he will be back with us next week for episode 58. We were going to fisk a sermon from the Presbyterian Church's Office of Public Witness. Their blog, it's by the Reverend J. Herbert Nelson II, entitled The Real Difference in the Trayvon Martin Case, A Gun Changed Everything. It was published July 14th, 2013. It's a heaping helping of racism, hypocrisy, and anti-gun nuttery, to use a term that Weird's Beard likes to use on Gun Blog Variety Cast. The text for the sermon is based on Exodus chapter 20, verse 13. You shall not kill, which gives you an idea where this is going. So let's set the stage for the verse that he's basing this sermon on. This is right in the middle of the second table of the Ten Commandments, specifically the fifth commandment. Now, the Reverend is a Calvinist, so he's numbering it differently, but I'm going with the traditional Lutheran numbering of the commandments from the early church, so fifth commandment. Reverend Nelson quotes scripture later in the sermon using the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible, and yet for the text of the sermon, he uses "you shall not kill." Well, this is interesting. This is important because he uses kill and not murder. Now, as Pastor Bennett and I have pointed out in previous episodes, murder is the more common and the more correct interpretation. Obviously, God doesn't forbid killing. He specifically excuses it in cases of accidental killing in the Old Testament, or when a thief breaks in the night and you kill him. But he also specifically commanded the Israelites to kill on many occasions in the Old Testament. So kill is not the best interpretation. The NRSV, from which the Reverend quotes, uses murder, not kill. The English Standard Version, the Good News Bible, the International Standard Version, and numerous others use murder. The King James uses kill, but Reverend Nelson isn't quoting from the King James. So the choice of the word kill is intentional, and it's important because it's easier to demonize guns and to call for sweeping bans if you go with kill instead of murder. Now, I'm not going to go through it word by word because some of it's just crap. He starts out by lamenting that more Americans died from gun violence than all the American soldiers on the battlefields from the Revolution through the Persian Gulf War of 1991. Now, this was written in 2013, so I have no idea why he used the time frames that he did. He goes from 1775 to 1991 for the battlefield count, and he only counts 1979 to 1997 for gun deaths. Now, gun deaths have been declining since the mid-90s, since the early 90s. I don't know why he left off the 15 years from 98 to the year that the article was written. It might not have fit the narrative. I don't know. It's a strange set of time periods that he used, but I'm guessing that he cherry-picked them simply to make a point. And it's funny that he laments the number of people killed by guns, but not by other means. Drowning, falls, car accidents, diseases of various types, poisonings, they all account for more deaths than guns do. Now remember, John Calvin was a social justice warrior. So this is about gun control, pure and simple. He talks about the gang violence in Chicago and his hometown of Baltimore, which is something that's only gotten worse in the years since his sermon. He then blames a culture of violence in the United States, and he says this: from toy guns and holsters to movies and cartoons to video games that simulate warfare and deaths by automatic weapons, including blood splatter, participants of all ages are able to be actors in the simulated slaughter of other human beings. Violence on television promotes actual blueprints for killing another person, and daily we watch the glamorizing of murder on our mobile devices and hear lyrics to songs declaring that there is something noble about killing another human being, including shooting the police. Now that's an interesting point, and I really can't argue with him on this one. This is certainly part of it. There's this thug culture, the Hollywood culture that on the one hand decries gun ownership and the Second Amendment, but on the other hand goes to work and glorifies violence on the big screen. It's certainly part of the problem, but that's not all of it. He then gives us this head scratcher. Our text for the morning is taken from our ancient Judeo-Christian covenant that some theologians believe predates the prophet Moses. Now, I actually sat and I couldn't figure that one out. The word covenant is mentioned 292 times in the Bible, about 30 times before the Ten Commandments were given to Moses. But the covenants referred to prior to Moses were all about the promises by God to people like Noah in Genesis 9, promising he's going to save Noah's family from the flood, and then another covenant later that he would not flood the earth again, or the covenant to Abram that in Genesis 15 and 17 that God would give the land of Canaan to Abram's offspring, or the covenant that all the Israelites should be circumcised. I don't know where he got this idea that the commandments that thou shalt not kill comes from some covenant predating Moses. I don't get it. But he continues, hence these commandments are a reiteration of God's desired covenant for the ordering of communal life. The Ten Commandments could be considered an internal declaration as to how one Israelite would treat another. Our commandment under study today might then read, do not kill another Israelite. In our reflections on the Presbyterian Church USA's confessional document, a brief statement of Reformed faith, we find the words, "In life and death we belong to God," which are representative of our connection to the author and finisher of all things, God Almighty. These words also remind us of the common brother and sisterhood among humanity, which links us in a mutuality of love through the love shown by God Almighty. However, this God-centered love is difficult to identify amid the massive killing in the United States today. Our denominational policy reminds us that as Presbyterians, we have a responsibility to broaden our relationships with other faith communities, creating a broad-based social movement to prevent gun violence. So this is where the social justice warrior crap comes into the church, where we're not talking about Christ anymore, we're talking about progressivism. Our church can and should lead the way in the broader faith community to the creation of a broad-based social movement to prevent gun violence, beginning with and led by an opening to the Holy Spirit and drawing its strength from the grassroots, especially people in the pews. Okay, so what do you propose, Reverend? Strengthening the family? Speaking out against the thug culture? Against the sloth and dependency we find? Against the staggering rate of children in minority communities who are born out of wedlock? Are you going to demand that men step up and, if you're going to have children, actually step up and be fathers? Are you going to demand better policing, stiffer penalties for criminals? Are you going to speak out against the scourge of drugs and gangs that infest our urban communities? Nah, can't do that. Might alienate some people in the pews. Such a coalition of congregations and other faith communities can take practical, direct action on local levels while generating critical change in cultural norms and attitudes towards guns, their possession, distribution, and use. In this way, our church, the faith community, and the movement they can lead will heed God's call to protect more of God's children. Keep that phrase in mind as we go along, because that's important. Protecting more of God's children. The Reverend continues, John Calvin, the founder of the Presbyterian Church, believed that biblical principles directly applied in the ordering of civil society. So in his commentary on the 6th commandment, or the 5th, depending on how you number them, "You shall not kill," Calvin expressed a theological perspective on the ordering of society that's based on the value of each human life as loved and redeemed by God, and therefore in need of protection. The purpose of this commandment is that since the Lord has bound the whole human race by a kind of unity, the safety of all ought to be considered as entrusted to each. In general, therefore, all violence and injustice and every kind of harm from which our neighbor's body suffers is prohibited. Accordingly, we are required faithfully to do what lies within us to defend the life of your neighbor, to promote whatever tends to his tranquility, to be vigilant in warding off harm, and when danger comes, to assist in removing it. Each human life is loved and redeemed by God and in need of protection. Again, keep that in mind, because that's an important point. Now, I'm not sneering or mocking the underlying argument, because I agree, life is a gift from God. It does need to be protected. What I'm sneering at is the blatant hypocrisy in this. All violence is prohibited, he says, even when violence is perpetrated against us, I guess. We're required to defend the life of our neighbor, warding off harm when danger comes, except if that danger is a street thug or a home invader, I guess. What the Right Reverend is saying here is that the common criminal is our neighbor too, so we have to defend him. What about our physical neighbor? What if we see a robber or a rapist attacking someone in the street, or breaking into the house next door, or beating someone in the street, as we've seen videos of where people just stand around and do nothing, or breaking into our own home? How do we defend our neighbors, who are our family members, or our innocent neighbors next door, or people we don't even know, from our criminal neighbors if we're forbidden to do every kind of harm? This is the asinine pacifism of John Calvin, because the disciples didn't resist persecution, so we shouldn't resist the murderer or the thug, the rapist. So now he transitions into the race part. He goes to America's a racist country, and our gun laws are a reflection of our racism. And he starts out with the Zimmerman trial. The power of a gun gives courage to pursue in moments of cowardice. If Zimmerman had not had a gun, he would not have followed Martin, nor could he have shot him to death. I'm not going to go through the next couple of paragraphs because this is where the Reverend is going to try to make his case that America is an inherently racist country. It's a pile of crap, and I just don't want to retry the Zimmerman case. And he's spouting this junk based on his impression before any evidence had even been put forward. It's just a steaming pile of Bravo Sierra. And I just don't want to retry it. I don't want to go through it again. But I will say this. Trayvon Martin died because of his own actions, not because of George Zimmerman. He died because he was a violent, drug-using thug who liked beating people up. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It's tragic, but that's what happens. Had Zimmerman not had a gun that night, Martin might easily have killed or permanently disabled him by pounding his head into the pavement. So now we get to the raison d'etre, the reason for all of this, the point we're driving home. I skipped about 3 paragraphs of racist BS to get to this. Our vigilance to press for stricter gun laws in the country must not be deterred by the inability of our congressional leaders to muster their courage and stand for righteousness. We must be vigilant in our efforts to hold them accountable by advocating 1. Banning all assault weapons. These are weapons of war, and there's no reason for common citizens to purchase or possess them. We must call for the reinstatement of the assault weapons ban that lapsed in 2004. Point number 2, requiring universal background checks. Presently, there is no federal provision for background checks, and some states that do not require them at all. Really? Does he not even know anything about the Brady Law or the NICS background check system? Gun trafficking becoming a federal crime, that's number 3. Currently, prosecutions only proceed through a law that prohibits selling guns without a federal license, which carries the same punishment as trafficking chicken or livestock. We must empower law enforcement to investigate and prosecute straw purchasers, gun traffickers, and their entire criminal networks. All of these are just the liberal gun ban talking points, right? This is all this is. This is not being argued from any sort of biblical foundation. This is just liberalism on parade. This is social justice warrior 101, and it's completely ignorant of what they're arguing for. Okay, so let's go through these. Can the Right Reverend define for me an assault weapon? Can he explain how that assault weapon is more deadly than other semi-automatic guns? Because what they call assault weapons are not weapons of war. We all know that, and these people don't, or they ignore the fact. It's clear to me that he's just spouting these talking points and he doesn't know jack about guns. All that he knows is he hates them and you shouldn't be allowed to have them. Maybe he should explain to me how many of the 30,000 people who are victims of so-called gun violence, how many of those are a result of assault weapons? Look it up. I'll wait. Because the truth is that more people are killed with hands and feet every year than are long guns of all kinds combined, including shotguns. So how will banning scary-looking guns do anything to curb violence? It won't, and the Reverend Nelson knows that. And if he doesn't, he needs to do some research and stop spouting BS. Point 2, universal background checks is just another liberal wet dream. It does nothing to stop violence. And based on his point here, there is no federal provision for background checks, is just a bold-faced lie. He obviously doesn't know anything about it. But I want to ask this. How many of the gangbangers in Chicago or in the Reverend's hometown of Baltimore go through legal channels to buy guns? How many of them go to gun shows? The number's tiny. How many, if a background check was required, how many of those gangbangers would go get a background check before buying their high point out of the trunk of some other gangbanger's car? Is the Reverend really this naive? Does he really believe this is going to make a difference? Because there's not a single mass killing that would have been stopped by background checks. All the killings that we see on the streets of Chicago and Baltimore and other big cities, not a background check in America would have stopped it. The third point, we already have laws against straw purchasing. We have laws against selling guns to felons. and against the possession of firearms by felons. But somehow, we don't strictly enforce those laws, and felons keep getting guns. Why? Because criminals don't obey the law. And adding a new law on top of the ones that already get ignored or that we don't enforce, that's not going to make things any better. Maybe if we enforce the laws that we have and we keep the criminals behind bars when they use a gun to commit a crime, they won't keep on, using guns to commit crimes. Let's get back to the Reverend, shall we? Let's be clear. Killing is an act of non-love! Killing is antithetical to the will of God! Our call is to be supportive of abundant life while recognizing that in life and death, we belong to God. Now again, you might have detected a hint of sarcasm in my voice. I'm not disagreeing at all that murder is antithetical to God's will, that killing is not an act of love. Unless you're doing it in self-defense, that's a different thing. And I agree that we are to support abundant life and recognize that in life and death, we belong to God. I agree with those things. What I object to here is this huge, steaming pile of sanctimonious hypocrisy. And this destroys the credibility of the Reverend and the entire Presbyterian Church USA on the issue of guns. Killing is antithetical to the will of God, he says. Our call is to be supportive of abundant life, he says. In principle, yes, those are true statements. But to trot them out in support of gun control, while supporting the opposite when it comes to the unborn, there's the big elephant sitting in the room, that's the ultimate in hypocrisy. See, the 220th General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church, just a year before the Reverend wrote this steaming sermon, basically flushed the call to support abundant life right down the toilet. Now let me read to you this resolution on reproductive health that was passed by the Presbyterian Church. Remember, quote-unquote reproductive health, that's progressive code for abortion. Quote, the 220th General Assembly of 2012 approved the following resolution as amended with comment and original rationale after the adopted policy in bold. Recognizing that women and men deserve full access to health care as a basic human right. Whether or not medical insurance is available, the 220th General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church USA seeks to protect all women's and men's access to comprehensive health care, including access to health services that enable responsible family planning and honor the exercise of individual conscience and the gift of human life. And they make 3 points on how they do this. We'll skip to point 3 because the first two aren't as important. This one really does it. Point 3, affirming the position of the 204th General Assembly majority report called a response to the report of the Special Committee on Problem Pregnancies and Abortion. Item 3, pages 14 through 15, items A through H. Item A. The state has a limited legitimate interest in regulating abortion and in restricting abortions in certain circumstances. B. Within this context, the state's limited legitimate interest, no law should impose criminal penalties against any woman who chooses or a physician who performs a medically safe abortion. Now that's interesting phraseology. Medically safe abortion. It's kind of like saying medically safe suicide. Within this same context, this is point C, within this same context of the state's limited legitimate interest, no law should deny access to safe and affordable services for the persons seeking to terminate a problem pregnancy. Well, since well over 90% of abortions are performed for reasons of convenience, not because of problem pregnancies. So this is a red herring. This is the typical protect the life of the mother argument, which almost never happens. Point D, no law or administrative decision should provide for a complete ban on abortion. E, no law or administrative decision should 1. Limit access to abortions, 2. Limit information and counseling concerning abortions, or 3. Limit or prohibit public funding for necessary abortions for the socially and economically disadvantaged. So life is so precious that the Presbyterian Church resolved to stand for the continuation of the killing of the unborn. And further, this resolution states, no state or federal law should be enacted to defund or criminalize family planning for the purpose of denying or delaying access to family planning services. Not only is life so precious that we should be allowed to kill it before it starts, we should fight for the government to pay for that killing. But guns for self-defense against rapists, thugs, and murderers, oh, no, we can't have that. We got to make you jump through hoops and background checks and ban certain guns. But you want to kill your unborn kids? Go right ahead, and the government can't make you stop. So for our Presbyterian listeners, all three of you probably, those of you who know and engage Presbyterians in conversation, those of you who left the Presbyterian Church, you've got friends, you've got family in the Presbyterian Church, ask them this question. If killing is so evil and guns must be regulated or banned, if we've got to take a stand and rally and advocate against the possession of guns or stand your ground laws, why does PCUSA turn around then and advocate for the killing of the unborn? For no limitations on that killing, for no cuts in federal funding for it. Don't go out there and claim that you're doing God's work in fighting against the scourge of guns, but then turn around and fight to protect abortion. Either life is precious or it's not. All life matters, or some life matters. And for the Presbyterian Church, sadly, only the lives of thugs and criminals matter. Law-abiding citizens don't matter. Your life doesn't matter if you want a gun to protect yourself from common criminals. The lives of your wives and your children don't matter. The lives of your kids definitely don't matter, especially if they haven't been born yet. You can't complain about the 33,000 deaths a year from guns and then turn around and fight to defend the over 50 million unborn who have been killed since Roe versus Wade. Luther once wrote that Satan was the master of 1,000 arts, and he somehow has convinced churches like the Presbyterian Church that this is an ethical Christian position to fight for gun control because thou shalt not kill, but at the same time fight for abortion rights. You hypocrites! Well did Isaiah prophesy of you when he said, "This people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me." This isn't Christian. This isn't godly. This isn't biblical. This is demonic.
And that's going to wrap it up for another week of Armed Lutheran Radio. Thank you to all of my contributors, Sergeant Bill Silvia, Aaron Israel of Fundamental Defense, and Mia Anstine. Thank you, dear listener, for joining us again this week. We hope you will tune in again next week for another episode. Until then, keep shooting, keep praying. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Armed Lutheran Radio. For show notes, be sure to visit our website at www.armedlutheran.us. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, and TuneIn. This podcast is made possible by Cook's Holsters and contributions from listeners like you.